Okay, another low budget video. This time how Symphony makes sure that users get their value. So there are certain different ways that you can start with, such as arbitrage and all that, but let's go into why we are doing this and the way that we're doing it. Centralized systems don't really work. They look like they work for a while, but they fail, same as everyone else. If you're not sure about that, check out what happened with Silicon Valley Bank and Circle's delisting, or Tether and the number of lawsuits that have happened against them for failure to maintain reserves. Go ahead, look into it. Google has that information. It's available. How about gold? Like, centralize it, hold it in gold. Like, you hold it in US bonds crash. Okay, yeah, that can happen. How about holding it in currency, like the Bolivar? Well, the Bolivar can crash. All right, yeah, that's happened. Currencies crash all the time. How about if you hold it in gold? Gold's super secure, right? Well, that can fail as well. What happened when Mansa Musa gave away a lot of gold? That crashed. That ended up causing an inflation within gold and crashed an entire economy from that. Terra crashed, Kujira crashed. There's a lot of different ways that this can happen. So we need to make sure that we can provide value even when things go south. So overall, what you're holding as collateral is not solving the problem. If you can't hold it in gold, if you can't hold it in bonds, if you can't hold it in cryptocurrency, then what you're holding is not the problem. There is a balancing act between what you're doing with regards to the price and the price that you're pegging to, like the price of the stablecoin versus the price that you're pegging to. There is a balancing act there, yes, but those are not the only variables. What happens when you have user panic? What happens when you have user euphoria? Well, Terra found out that's not so great. Kujira found out that's not so great. Now, there are other factors that have gone into play with that, but overall, it's not so great when you're neglecting a variable. MakerDAO has approached it from a perspective of prevent the user from taking this action entirely. So if everyone panics, they just automatically cash you out. We're not doing that. So centralization has a problem. Algorithmic ones have a problem. Over-collateralized ones have a problem. Over-collateralized ones, they make you pay double up front. Algorithmic ones, they can fall off peg. Centralized ones, well, when the centralized entity makes a mistake, then you get the same issue. And centralized entities always make a mistake at some point. So how do we do it? We start with arbitrage. Yes, that works for bull markets. It does not work for bear markets. So what happens when that happens? Well, we have our override. We make sure that the information that's coming in matches that the peg that we have matches the information that's coming in. This is exactly the same as what you would do when you have bonds. It's just the information that you're using is the information coming from the account. That's it. Different sources of information used for different reasons. Well, different sources of information used for the same reason. So in this case, what happens after that? We can't just use the information. Well, we have to make sure that people can get their value. If you drop to 50%, you need to get double the amount of the coin, because that is the matching value. So what we have 2-to-1 reserves. You pay up front 1-to-1, but over time, so capital efficiency, you pay up front 1-to-1, but over time, we come up to 2-to-1, specifically because that is a good backing. Now, that only backs up to 50%. So if we have a 2-to-1 match here, and that only matches up to 50%, what do we do about if you drop further than that? Well, we have fees that come in. So as transfers are made, so as users panic and try to sell out of the stablecoin or sell out onto an exchange, fees are taken with a cap. It's not taking everything. It's taking a very, very small amount. If that takes a small amount and puts it into the reserve, that bumps up the collateral. Any stablecoins, since it's a 2-to-1 reserve, that stablecoin is burned and the collateral falls by double that amount. It's even better when you're using stablecoins and panicking with the stablecoins. So that goes into here, and it makes sure that users can cash out over time. So transfers happen, fees are taken, people cash out. Great. So now that allows you to go further than 50%. How far does that allow you to go? Well, we tested it. We tested it against Terra's crash data. Terra maintained an 80%, which was further than Kujero's drop. They maintained an 80% ratio right up until the fourth day. On the fourth day, they dropped and they fell down to 20% of original value. So what we did, we tested against a 50% drop, a 25% drop, a 10%, a drop to 50%, a drop to 25%, a drop to 10%, and further. We went as far as dropping to 1% of original value, and in each of these cases, we did not need anywhere near as much as activity as Terra had in order to maintain 2-to-1 collateral requirements. We recovered 2-to-1 collateral requirements in the time that it took Terra to go through 2 days of crash activity. We did not include arbitrage. Terra had arbitrage propping up their price. We did not include that. All we matched against was the activity. As long as the activity happens, this price gets pumped up. And if we have the same activity as, if we have the same price data as Terra did, then we maintain that 80%. Now, we also don't mint anything.